Hey, hello. So thank you for inviting me to this nice conference. So side effects. My name is Peter. I work in some company which I'm not sure if I can say what's the name because they have some policies on telling. So this thing will be about really unit testing, so I also like unit testing, and we do mostly kind of functional programming, so this is why we needed to invent new tools for us, because currently everything is solved for OOP, but not for functional. So yes, I do coding for more than 10 years in JavaScript, so I remember IE6, and then V8, and then babel, and then finally TypeScript, so now I feel very good. This is new MacBook. Don't get it. This is a new MacBook. It's very not nice thing. So yeah, okay. Recording stopped. Sorry. Just a moment.
Save it.
Save it? Okay. I'm saving. This is important. So. Yes, for my kids. All right. So okay. Yes, so about me, blah blah stuff. Okay. So this background is actually a JavaScript program. Maybe some of you know that when you run it, it says hi, alerts hi, and so we need to first of all, who of you actually code JavaScript here? Because last time I presented, thank you very much, I presented it to DevOps group, and they were staring at me for 20 minutes, like I'm an alien, and then I asked any questions, complete silence, and then I was smart enough to ask who of them actually code, and they say, no. But that was really nice, I still remember this nice feeling. So, and then, who of you actually do business logic testing? Okay, nice. Our team, my team, didn't do any business logic testing because it's cumbersome, but they wanted to do this, and it wasn't nice because you need to change business logic sometimes, and sometimes you need to change it twice a week, maybe 5 times a week, but still you kind of want to have some tests for something which is very dynamic, and we thought, there should be some automation for that. And this is the only thing what is relevant to React. React is invented in Facebook, and Facebook kind of invented Jest and their golden test, which is Snapshots. Yeah, so that's the only way this presentation is relevant to React, but still, yeah, you can think it's a nice presentation, possibly. So, okay, magical demo. This is what I wanted to show you. So we have here a nice function which is yes, everything will be functional, and I know HelloFresh is actually very functional, so that fits. And to the right you can see that I have a listening test which says all fine, then I break the test, and it's broken, very nice, now it's fixed again. But then I will try to just remove export completely. And imagine that this function is now not a public API anymore of my module, it's an internal thing, which I also want to test, but I don't want to create a folder and then some file and then mock it. I just want to save it and have test running. Wow, but this is impossible to do in JavaScript, right? Because modules are kind of scopes and you cannot sneak in. Yes, you can, if you use some magic, and then I have the explanation. So, the tool I want to show you, it's nothing new. So there, if you know already Rewire Babel plugin, it does kind of the same, but in a bit old school way. You can actually go into the scope of your module and change everything and then run whatever you want, and you don't need to change the module source. So it is a Babel plugin. Also, why it is a Babel plugin? Because it's really fun to write Babel plugins, right? So I thought, hey, I do business logic every day. I want something, so this is it. And you can see that it actually changes everything on the fly because it's this nice AST editor. If I say const x equals 9, I have in the right bottom part that x is now in the scope. So this babel plugin turns your module into, let's say, factory function, which always creates you a kind of scope as an object. So this actually happens in any test. So in this way, I only once create a scope from this, but you can actually create as many scopes of your method, of your module as you want, and then have fun with this. How is it different from the approach of Rewire? Is that you can actually iterate, because this thing returns an object, and you can actually create functions on top of this function, so it's very functional, and it's very simple inside. So the only thing it does, it wraps the guts of your module in a function, and just exports this function only. And then this is very simple if you don't take into account flow, TypeScript, and other stuff. So yes, nice, you now understand how the magic works. Let's see the magic once more, and it's not anymore magic. Right, so simple, right? So how we got to this point? We wanted to test business logic again. We are a bit test-oriented because in one of the teams, somewhere in this company I work for, we decided quite suddenly that we don't want any more QAs, manual QAs, and we need to really write tests ourselves. That was a surprise, and we decided, yeah, okay, now we need automation, otherwise we just turn into clicking machines. And this is it. This is the result. This is our first thing what we've done, is that we decided that all big functions with logic will become factory functions, like in Angular. So everything you want to use will be a dependency injected in your module, and then you just create a special version, altered version of your smart function, and then just run it. So we did it, and this is really production code. Yes, everything is very functional because we are functional a bit, maybe too much, but now with Introscope, all fine. It looked like this, so it's really horrible. This factory function needs everything typed because we use flow and everything typed. So, and also there is a linting rule which says you shouldn't mask what you have imported, and this ends up with this, so everything is a boilerplate code, and this is a little bit of business logic, and then again we need to create an instance of this function for that. So horrible, but we did it, and then we thought, okay, cool, why not to do this automatically, right? So I have a module, I just wrap it automatically, and then when I need to test. Okay, so we used Create to do factory only in tests, just to test the environment. So quite easy. And then when we applied Introscope, it's now kind of readable. Now you can see that the Create to do what it does, it gets fields from somewhere and then shows the spinner and then actually tracks some event. And this is important. If you don't track this event, we don't pay our partner, and then they kick our all over us things, and then it waits for something which you can see clearly. Yes, so it posts somewhere, which is also important to not forget to do, and then you hide finally the spinner, and it should always be hidden. You know, when you show something which covers all the page and it spins, and then you just forgot to hide the spinner in some case, because there was an exception, and then it spins forever there, which is not good, or maybe good sometimes. So we want to test it, and these things, this show, loading, spinner, and track event, they are kind of side effects of your business logic function. So it's not actually inside, but maybe, but you need it. So in more advanced languages, you might have some monadic way to do this, or maybe you have some, in this, we have this macroses, right? And you can go inside and then everything, but in JavaScript it's not possible. Now it's possible, yes. So how it looks, how the first test looks. First solution is also a production code, not exactly this one, but the style of this code. So what I do here, I just create, right, so maybe questions in between. Now? Yes.
So this import into scope function is being consumed by Babel, and this is how Babel knows that.
Yes. Yes, exactly. When there is only one import and it is exactly Introscope, you can configure this in the configuration. Yeah. Then it will transform the import. It will tell actually Jest. It works in this beautiful way only with Jest, but we use Jest everywhere. Who uses Jest? All right, awesome. It's like, cool. Yes, super. Yes, and then it tells Jest, hey, please do not do this the way you do. Give me opportunity to transpile to do create to do file my way. It is very hack, but I did it to just sell it to my team because they really want a sleek solution, really nice looking solution. I said, yes. They said, yeah, we will test business logic, and the amazing part is that it worked. So now they really test, and I also test every day, and we really enjoy when we change something. I will show you. It is amazingly simple to see what has been changed from a flow perspective. So okay, we create a new, in this test, we create a new scope, then I mock a few functions for them to just be functions because I call them, but I don't care in this exact test. I don't care what they return, but I want to track them if they has been called, right? So expect scope post to be called, expect check form to be called with fields, and then also what here I mock the results. So this post actually returns something what you can evade, which is nice. And then check form always says, hey, it's a good form, don't mock for me. This is another really nice thing of functional programming. What we found out, you don't need big mocks. So sometimes you have just a value, magic value, and few functions which work with this value, and you can say, okay, I mock the functions, so I don't need to have real value there, and you don't need to create huge mocks with all these nested fields, so all these functions work. And we just give it, for example, true. Or we give it a mock which knows how it was touched and shouldn't be touched. So it's very automatable. I already told Robert that I don't fully understand this tool yet, because it kind of opens a Pandora box for me, OOP programmer, in the functional way, which is amazingly interesting. This is why on the first slide I said I like it. I like JavaScript programming these days. So okay, all fine. You see that I mocked everything. It's just kind of an object which has methods but doesn't have state. So it's there. And then we realized, it's an object. And it's just plain object, and we can iterate on it. We can kind of inspect it and make some tooling to make it more automated. And we did it with a little library inside of Introscope library, which is effects logger. This is why it's side effects logger. So we thought, looks like it's side effects, and they kind of have a DSL, so you have this big business logic thing with side effects, and also inside of this big business logic thing you can have some verbs which you also call, but sometimes you don't care what they return. For example, this check form thingy, I don't care here if it really does what it does, because I have a unit test for it, and I can completely abstract this complexity part, and then this combinatorial explosion of testing, it kind of has a not that steep slope. So, okay, with logger, we do some magic, which I cannot explain here easily. So actually, these things can be automatically mocked, but I wanted to show you explicitly. So I actually give to this higher order function which will return me an augmented scope, which is smart scope, which remembers what you do with this, with it. I say, okay, I want just to mock show loading spinner. I want just to mock hide, show yes and hide loading spinner. I don't care what it is. I just want to know they've been called. Then the same with create to do. No, actually create to do will be kept, so it will be exactly the same as it is in the module. So we can say, hey, I don't do this manually. I want you, automated tool, to do this for me. And then I again do the same mocking. And then I just run it. And here comes the magic. What is really amazing? Really, I mean, okay, it's not as amazing as Redux, so yeah, but it is really nice. So we have effects as an array of a list of actions being called inside of your business logic function. So it just logs all the, if you know as trace, or if you know Elm architecture, when you actually post a mutation, then this thing actually logs mutations of the outside world in just a list with a very nice serializer, which looks like this. So you can see that it is show loader loading spinner with no arguments. I don't care in this particular test that I give it something or don't, so I didn't do, and here the check form just gets filled as a string because I don't care what the form is. I said, okay, I want just to check if my business logic gets a right form, what it will do. And what it does post. And it shows the loading spinner, then it hides the loading spinner. That's very nice. And then maybe, yeah, so is it actually a real thing? Let's try to change something. So actually, yes, it works. And then I go here and for some reason I just made a mistake. And then, oh my god, yes, of course, I didn't write this, I didn't write the check for this logic that it has been called. It is kind of automated because I kind of think of this as a side effect. And then I go there and I see, oh no, in a snapshot it was paused, but now I don't have paused. I think maybe this is good because maybe I changed something in check form which should now return false instead of true because I'm fancy, you know. And then I decide, okay, this is true, and again the second part of the automation comes into play, that I can just update a snapshot. We also are very obsessed with snapshots for things which are not libraries. So we have this very frequently changing things like business logic, or maybe some other things like business logic, I don't know. So for me, business logic is a source of chaos, and libraries are very stable. So when you write library, you don't need all this. You don't need this, because you just write normal unit tests, and they are very to the point, and they have nice names, and you have this. And then you write it really for a week, and then you have it for half a year. Maybe you update the library once in a while, then you update tests and everything is fine and you test only the API, all fine. But in this particular case, when you have something very stupidly looking, like this thing, and you really, really deeply as a developer do not care that much, so is this brilliantly well tested or not? Because you know I will change it tomorrow. So you just come here and you press O. Now it's updated. Cool, this is only one test. Imagine that I had 50, and then I really needed to change a little bit how one of the side effects work, and I would need to update all the tests. But if you already worked with snapshots, then I don't need to sell it to you. This is just amazingly well. The only thing that I want to sell to you is not exactly Introscope, because it doesn't support Babel 7. If somebody wants to have the Babel 7, thank you. And doesn't support TypeScript because I'm very much into Flow still. Old school, yes, but possibly later. So yes, nothing special, but the approach is interesting and it saves time. Yeah, sorry. Yes, I forgot that I have slides. Yes. Okay, so everything. Now FAQ, performance, it doesn't add anything, not much actually to your test. If you test everything with Introscope, it has only single bubble visitor, which means it doesn't add powers of n to your test, because I think you use bubble. If you use bubble, bubble will go deeply and rewrite everything, and this module doesn't do this. We support everything with bubble supports, except bubble 7, including flow, which is quite nice and hacky, because it's very hard to support. And so, yes, you can configure everything, for example, per module. Oops. So we have magic commands there, I think. Did I show you? So you can write magic commands saying, okay, don't touch this function. Or mock for me date, for example. Oh, for example, this is nice. You can also mock date, because date is just global variable you reference from your module, and the bubble knows that, okay, these are the globals you referenced, and you can just give it whatever you want, especially for this particular test. So if you know that you only call date.now, you just give it an object which has date.now, and you just roll the time. Okay, and then help needed, yes, of course, especially with questions, because I don't understand quite well what is the next step of this. Actually, maybe possibly that we can record not only side effects coming from the module, also we can record what comes from outside and then dismount it from the real world and run it. There are some tools which are, for example, HTTP proxies, which record your session with the backend. And I recently read an article which advocates that you should do this way, but if you are functional and you have pure functions, you just can have functions returning you the answers after parsing everything. And you can actually also help the project recording these scenarios for exact tests, and then in your CI, you can just run it without touching the staging or real server, having the snapshots, also snapshots everywhere. All right, yes, some questions, please.